Hey, I see you click on this video getting mad because I'm talking bad about older GPUs. I know they have a lot of performance, I know they are cheap since they are old, I know that the used market is dirty cheap because of everything that has happened. I know all of that. But bear with me and let's talk about the problems that older GPUs have and why maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't buy older GPUs. And when I say older GPUs, I don't mean one generation older than the current one, because that would be stupid. They are almost as relevant as the newer ones, plus they are cheaper. But now let's go and see what's hidden deep in the old GPUs, and first is upgradability. And it can either be good or bad. So on the good side, it's when you already have an old GPU and you just want to upgrade your GPU with another GPU from that old generation. But if you were, for example, to buy a computer and you see an old GPU in the system and that GPU has performance, for example, you have a system with a 2060 or a 3060, well, those PCs with those GPUs might look like they are a good deal for the money, but those GPUs work with PCIe 3 slots. PCIe is basically the place where you insert the GPU, but since they work with older slots, they might just put a motherboard that has PCIe 3 slots, which makes the PC less upgradable. If you have a PCIe 3 slot and you put an RTX 4060 Ti, well, it will not perform as it should. It will perform like a 3060 Ti, even though it has more performance and it is more expensive. But in the future it might be cheap. For example, when the 50 series come out, it will go down in price, but you will not be able to upgrade if you want that performance. And when you buy pre-built, sometimes it doesn't even tell you what kind of PCIe slots it has. But in the future, if you don't want to change the motherboard with a GPU, then be careful of that. Or if you are building a PC, just buy a newer model motherboard and then buy whatever GPU you want, even if it's an older one. It doesn't really matter. It might cost a bit more, but most of the time it's worth it. The second reason is that they are old. And when I say they are old, I mean you can still buy them new, but since they are with the old architectures and they are the older generations, they will get software support slower. I mean, when there is an improvement or anything like that, the older GPUs are not the priority. The other thing is software support, which shouldn't matter because they support GPUs for a really long time. But when it's older, they will get worse software support. And if it's really old, they will not support it anymore. For example, if you are with an Nvidia GPU, you don't get the newer DLSS 3, even if the older GPU is more powerful. It can't because of the older hardware. On the AMD side, that is a bit better, but generally speaking, newer GPUs get better software and better software support. And the other thing is, well, age. I mean, you can buy new GPUs that are inside boxes. They might be a couple of years old. Now, let's just say that tech doesn't age like wine. And they should be okay, and they will probably perform really good, but not as good as they should. And that happens quite frequently. I mean, there are GPUs that have been discontinued for more than a year now, and you can still buy them new. And those GPUs probably aren't from the last delivery. They might be even older, so that is something to keep in mind. And the other thing is just the technology. I mean, performance isn't everything. Let's take for example the GTX 1080 Ti. When it comes to pure performance, you can compare it with the RTX 3060, because it was a high-end GPU when it launched, so it performs good to this day. But why is this example? Why am I using this example when I talk bad about old GPUs? Well, the reason is because it lacks a lot of features. For example, it doesn't have ray tracing. I mean, it can do it, but since it doesn't have specific hardware for it, it will use a lot of resources to do it, which will make games even slower, and it's still not as good. And ray tracing makes games look a lot better. So why put up with a lack of features when you can just buy the newer GPU? And then we have the DLSS. It doesn't support it. And when you have an older GPU, this can actually make a difference to make the game look smoother. So it doesn't work where it counts most. If you are an Nvidia GPU user and you like Nvidia and you have the 1080 Ti, well, you lucky bastard, you have the FSR from AMD, so thank God for that. But even the company that made your GPU doesn't support it properly. It needs help from their competitor. AMD had to come and save the day. Think about that when you buy a new GPU, because AMD brings the better software to the older GPUs as well. So this matters more on the Nvidia side, where they are just lazy. They can probably improve their older GPUs more, but they just don't want to use their resources there. But then again, most people use Nvidia GPUs, so it's definitely worth mentioning. This is my opinion. Now with that said, I still think you should probably buy GPUs that are 1 generation older or even 2 generations older, because their hardware is still relevant and their prices are a lot lower since they are the old generation. Personally, I wouldn't go 2 generations older, because why would you go that low when buying a new GPU? And when it comes to the current generation, well, why would you pay the full price for the new generation for basically low to no benefits? At least no benefits that justify the price tag. But still, these are some valid problems that can happen to you when buying older GPUs, and I think someone should mention this. I made this just because there aren't any videos about this topic out there, or at least not for this exact topic. Anyway, if you like the video, like, and if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe so you don't miss my future videos, and please comment your thoughts in the comments down below. I would love to hear about that. What do you think about these problems? Are they valid, or maybe I shouldn't even mention them? Are they stupid? Anyway, bye and see you next time if you stick around.